Hello everyone and welcome to the virtual game fair, Great Game Fairs of Ireland. This year, as you know, due to COVID, we unfortunately can't be at Shane's Castle to see the big spectacular over the 2 days. One of the main attractions every year is the Hound Parade in the main ring. And not to be outdone, the directors of the game fair have asked us to come along and be privileged to maybe have an insight into a day at the kennels. And we've been very lucky that we've had a very kind invitation along to the local kennels. And please watch as we go through what a day's work round the kennels is.
As we were out a-hunting one morning in the spring, both hounds and horses running well made the hills and valleys ring. But to our great misfortune, no fox could there be found, and the huntsman cursed and swore, but still no fox moved over the ground.
As the daily routine starts really early round the Hunt Kennels, we've had an early start to be here at 6 a.m. We hope you enjoy being with us, witnessing the dedication and the passion that you'll see around the hound lodges throughout the day and the other hound activities that go around the kennels here. So please come with us now as we go on this wonderful journey. And as we go on this journey, we hope we give you an insight and better understanding of this embedded part of the countryside traditions and the rural way of life.
Lightning, a fox from out his hole. His fur was the colour of a starless night, and his eyes like burning coal. We chased him over the valley, we chased him over the field, we chased him down to the river bank, but never would he yield. He jumped into the water and he swam to the other side. Then he laughed so loud that the greenwood shook, and he turned to the huntsman and cried, "Ride on, my gallant huntsman, when must I come again? Oh, never shall you want a fox to chase along the plain. And when your need is greatest, just call upon my name, and I will come and you shall have all the best of sport and game." All the men looked up in wonder, all the hounds ran back to hide, for the fox had changed to the devil himself, where he stood on the other side. Then men and hounds and horses went flying back to town, and hard on the heels came the little black fox, laughing as he ran. "Ride on, my gallant huntsman, when must I come again? Oh, never shall you want a fox to chase along the plain. Ride on, my gallant huntsman, when must I come again? Oh, never shall you want a fox to chase along the plain."
Come along, come along, come along, come along. Come on, Upton out. Upton, sausage.
So we've been joined here by the first whip here in the lawns in front of the kennels here. So I suppose the first thing everybody's interested in is what brought you to hunt service and brought you to the kennels to work with hounds?
I've been brought up in and around it. It's everything my family's always done, and I'm just fascinated by it. It's early morning, 6 o'clock start, and 8 o'clock in the evenings, getting the hounds up in the mornings at 6, checking them, looking over them, and getting them.
Yes, it's obviously a very early start and a big routine. So you get up in the morning, you have a cup of coffee and you come out obviously in a glorious morning like this, but it's not always like this. And
No.
come the deep winter, it's one of those,
You need
get
a
the
jacket
winter
or two
willies
on.
on. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's not all sunshine, so it's not just as pleasant to see today. So what is your daily routine sort of with the hounds anyway at this stage?
We'd be up and out for 6 o'clock, up in, check over all the hounds, see if everybody's happy, and start washing the pens out, soak the yard, get all the pens washed out. Then we would take them out for a morning jog, But this time of the year, we do mostly on bikes and stuff, getting them fit in the evenings. But on a day like this, you couldn't take dogs out, far too warm.
No, we've been blessed with the weather, and some people will be jumping up and down with joy, and some people will be saying it's far too warm, and the ground is now starting to
Hard.
parch and dry up and get hard. So hound welfare is always at the front, so you're not going to walk them out on the warm tarmac.
Oh, 100%. Hound safety is main priority.
Yeah. So you've walked them out, you've done that. Breakfast, I suppose, after that's all done?
Oh, no. I have to get the hounds' breakfast all sorted out and done for them, and then get hopefully down in for 15 minutes for a break, and then back out and at it.
So the hounds are fed, obviously, on what's known as fallen stock, as animals that have died naturally on a farm. The farmers bring them here, so you've got to deal with them and get all the paperwork done that's required by DARD and all these things. So it's a very professionally run from that point of view.
Oh, yes. When the hounds and the farmers are happy, that's us happy. We like to get everything sorted out for everybody and keep everybody happy.
It all done, keep the paperwork right.
Yeah.
So you've got the hounds done. So in the winter time, I suppose there's the extra burden of the horses been in, and then the hounds are on longer exercise.
Yes.
So you're not just redding up sort of in a couple of hours. It's probably
No.
it's probably hounds out, and it's 12 o'clock before you're maybe back.
Oh, yeah. You're going out in the dark and you're coming back in the dark. There's not much rest in the winter now. You're getting horses and hounds and everything exercised.
So it's quite a, this is the rest period really, and then the winter time obviously, and then coupled with the days hunting and that, when you go out, there's a lot of preparation and work with that.
Oh, there's a lot of preparation coming up to the hunting season. There's puppies going out in couples now to get them whipped in now for the season coming ahead. So flat out.
So you couple it, just people will be wondering, coupling the puppies. So it's where you get the older hounds know all the commands, etc., etc. So you couple the young hounds to an older hound, and they learn the trade.
Yeah, it's mainly safety when we're out in the rows to keep the younger hounds whipped in tight, to keep in the middle of the pack so they don't get hurt or in. It's all hound safety to keep them in, and so nothing happens with them.
And maybe we should just explain, when you say whip in, it's not physically you take a whip to them and beat them
Oh,
into
no,
shape.
no, definitely not.
It's you hold the whip out and the hounds know to come in tight.
They get in a wee huddle just to keep them safe so nothing happens to them.
So it brings them in when cars is passing and traffic's passing or whatever.
Most of the time there's signal, there's voice commands, and you just listen to that and very well.
And the huntsman rides in front of his hounds, and you obviously ride behind. So your job is to keep the hounds uptight and keep them...
Keep the hounds in check, keep them uptight.
You're the eyes of the huntsman, because he's looking forward all the time. He can't really see what's going on behind. So really, probably, technically speaking, you're maybe more in control of the hounds than he is at this
wouldn't
stage.
say that now. I'm just trying to...
Well, listen, thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you
and give
very
us
much.
a little insight into what you do. And we'll probably catch up with you somewhere along the line the rest of the day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your time. Thank you.
Cheers.
Graphite. 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 Oh, good boys. Well done, boys. Well done. Come quickly. In tight. In tight. Quickly. 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 Come along. Come along.
So I've been joined out here in the show ring at the kennels here for the puppy day with the huntsman. He's pulled a hound out to run us through maybe a few of the finer points of a hound and maybe a bit more in-depth detail on the hound itself, which is the centre of the main crux of the whole hunting game. So what's your real first thing that you look for?
Well, my first opinion on a hound, he has to hunt. His job, first and foremost, is to hunt. So to make a good hound, you must have a good nose, good eyes. A bit of size about him across the country. Obviously, good paws on him, because there's a lot of road work involved in hunting. And just generally nice looking, sharp hound. So
You're mentioning there, Robert, In a day's hunting, hounds travel some distance, don't they? They could 40, 50 mile wouldn't be unheard of.
Oh, certainly, and more in some instances. And now, with the countryside the way it is, i.e. with this modern day farming and fencing, we have to go a lot by the road. So the hound has to have good feet on him, good sturdy feet. You want good packed feet and hard feet. So now, you know, at this time of the year coming in, we'll start doing a lot of road work with bikes and stuff, you know, and eventually we'll have them up to 6, 7, 8 mile, you know, come cubbing time. So,
And capacity, obviously if they're doing this 60 or 70 mile or 40 or whatever it is, they need sort of fitness, but they need lung capacity and everything else, don't they?
oh yeah, you know, certainly, like, as you can see this hound here, Stockman, you know, Stockman, he's got a nice deep chest, so he's plenty of room here for his lungs. He's a good wide chest there for a good heart. You know, for at the end of the day, these as athletes, they're top class athletes, and that's what they are. You know, and they have to be sharp. You know, they have to be sharp on the ball. You know, as you can see, this hound, he's very active hound. So he is.
And one of the most important things now is the nose, the scent.
Yeah.
That they hunt, they don't hunt by sight, they hunt by nose.
A hound hunts with his nose. He's not a sight hound, i.e. like your greyhounds and your whippets. He hunts solely with his nose. So he can only go as fast on a hunting day as his nose allows him.
And scent being, it's one of the most important things to breed into your hound is this low scenting hound, because the weather's warmer. It's Christmas before we get supposedly the colder weather, which is the ideal hunting conditions.
Yes. Oh, I certainly, you know, early on here now, it's a lot easier. It's a lot easier, you know, coming into later on in the winter time. It's getting cooler and the scents are faster and the hounds is faster. You know, early on in autumn hunting can be a wee bit slower. You've pups down there. You know, you have to give them more time.
Give them a slower go. And you hear them talking about couples in hounds. Maybe just explain to some of the people that don't understand what a couple is.
Yeah. Well, basically here we have puppies. We breed pups every year, and we breed them. A lot of people are breeding for show, for looks. But my aim is to breed the best hunting hound that I can get. So necessarily I don't go for looks. I go for hunting. So I would have a stallion hound that is my best stallion hound. Maybe not necessarily the best looking hound or the best quality, but in his nose and hunting, that's what I go to, and I select the bitch the same way to do that. So basically when that bitch has her pups, we send them out to our puppy walkers, and they rear them up. We go and bring them back and around that 10 months old to get them introduced to kennel life and meet the rest of the pack. Then we couple the hounds up to go and exercise, and it takes the edge off them, you know, that they're coming back full of beans and the older hounds steadying them. And on the traffic there and the roads now, they have to be coupled up to learn a little bit of manners. So they do with all the traffic.
And that's probably where the terminology then is, you count your hounds in couples.
Yeah. So every hound's counted in twos, you know, a couple of hounds. So we have 25 couple of hounds in this kennel here, which is 50 hounds. So it is, and it's easier on a hunting day counting in twos. Is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can count them in couples, you know.
You can run through them. And what would be a typical size of a pack that you would hunt on a normal hunting day?
Well, here with us in East Antrim, our country's very small, smaller fields, lots of wire. So I mainly keep it down and around that 12 and a half couple, you know, and around that 25 hounds. And it all depends on your country, of course. You know, every Saturday's different, and like as we hunt there 3 days a fortnight. So you know, and them 3 days a fortnight, it's different terrain, different country. So I select what hounds we're taking to each part of the country. You know, it's like a friend of mine, an old friend of mine, has been a huntsman a long time. He says to me, you know, you have to go out and select your hounds for the day that you're going to have. And you're like a football manager. You have to bring forward your best team that you have on that day. So it is. So you know, that's what you are. And of course, like when you're breeding hounds, you want them looking sharp, you want them looking nice, because at the end of the day, you're wanting everybody to look at your hounds.
Yes.
You know, you want them to be impressive looking, you want them to be sharp. So, you know,
there's lots of things to breeding a hound, just in matching a couple of hounds up and whatever it turns out, it turns out. There's a bit of science and passion and interest in it. And I know all the huntsmen follow all the the breeding, and there's certain hunt clubs would have attributes that you would like to introduce to your pack.
Yeah.
But this has become a lot more difficult now with the Brexit to bring any hounds in from England. It's all right if you're bringing one, but
Yeah.
normally you would call it a draft. You're bringing in a draft, maybe 3, 4, maybe up to 10 hounds coming out of England, for example, that they're not steady to deer.
Yeah.
And here we're not bothered with deer, so they're perfectly good hounds, good hunting hounds, and the huntsmen will swap round for a bit of change in breeding.
Yeah, certainly, you know, it's there before we were able to draft in what hounds, if we were lacking a little bit of something in our kennels, you know, maybe, for instance, a little size, or, you know, you're wanting to make them a little taller, because they have to be taller now. These fences is getting bigger and harder to cross, so you have to breed a slightly bigger hound to cross that country. And in England, as you know yourself, it's big arable flowing fields, and they're breeding a big galloping hound, you know, and that's what I had to introduce to our pack here, something with a bit more size to cross the country. Necessarily not for the speed, but the cost to cross the agility, as in fences and gates and stuff.
Yeah, more for that.
Yeah.
But do you see the Brexit thing having a big downturn on the hounds?
Yeah, like it is, you know, there's going to be a lot of access hounds in England that was, you know, that was brought to Ireland, and the Irish huntsmen and hunt clubs were very grateful to have these hounds. And now with this Brexit, it's getting extremely hard to get them in.
It's just
Yeah.
non-existent.
Yeah.
It's a trade that's disappeared overnight.
Yeah,
just the rug's been pulled from under your feet
Yeah.
for that choice.
Yeah.
You no longer have the choice to
Yeah.
pull in or leave, and vice versa. Probably sending there's as many hounds went one way as the other, because, as I'm saying, everybody has different hounds, and maybe somebody fancies a draft of hounds from a certain pack because they're going really well.
Yeah.
And access hounds, the hound welfare's top of the list. So
Yeah.
and they don't make an ideal pet, sure they don't.
No, a hound, like, at the end of the day, the hounds, they're a pack animal, and they have to live in a pack, you know. So it's unfair. You know, these hounds, as we talked about there on a hunting day, they can cross 60, 70 miles. You know, a hound in a family home, there's nobody can give the hound what he needs and the exercise he needs.
Yeah.
So it is.
Well, listen, thanks very much. I know we're going to chat about more hounds later on
Yeah, you're welcome.
in the day, and but thank you for this point, and we hope everybody has picked up a few pointers, and next time you're out following a pack of hounds, you can sort of start judging what's good and what's bad. But I will add, the best hunting hound in the kennels may not have the best feet, the best nose, the best chest, or the best tail. A hunting hound's a hunting hound.
A hunting hound's a hunting hound at the end of the day, and they're bred to hunt. First and foremost, a hound is bred to hunt. He's not bred to be standing in a ring.
So we're lucky that one of the joint masters has joined us here at the kennels today to rattle through a few of the bits and pieces of life behind the scenes as we've been doing all day. So John, your family's no stranger to the hunt club.
No, indeed, I think, as the books or history would tell it, we're founder members of the East Antrim Hunt Club, East Antrim Hounds as it's known, and it was formed in 1895, and certainly my father and forefathers have been members through the years, you know, so I'm just carrying on a family tradition.
So that really brings hams home that the hunting fraternity is a traditional, steeped.
Very traditional country pursuit, enjoyed by very many people from all walks of life. It's not just for those that live in the country. So
Yeah, the membership, you know, as you were saying, they're townspeople, they're the local farmers, they're all different sorts of trades up and down the country.
anybody with interest and a love for their horses and rural country pursuit, they certainly are made very welcome at East Antrim.
Yeah. So the membership's quite big at East Antrim. You know, we're portrayed, it's a dying sport and that, but it's not. It's very vibrant and maybe more so.
Certainly, and it has maybe been more vibrant. Unfortunately, COVID telling the tale the last couple of years there, but we hope to pick up the pieces again, pick up the reins in the next few months, and we'll be looking forward to the start of hunting season, and coming along with that is when our autumn point to point will come in. So
The point to points, they play a big part of not only the industry, the horse industry, the racing industry here in Northern Ireland, but in Ireland and Great Britain in general, it's mega, isn't it?
Well, it certainly is indeed. The point to points is the breeding ground and the core fabric of the national hunt racing. Horses go on from having success at point to points to the big sales in England, and you'll see them maybe running in the Grand National and the big races. I haven't got any just at the tip of my tongue at the minute, but certainly that's where it all begins.
Yeah, the East Antrim's point-to-point course is sort of ranked up there as one of the best, and a lot of the horses that has won round East Antrim goes on to do bigger and better things, and we see that because all the big buyers and all the big trainers will come to the point-to-point to see the potential purchases on behalf of clients, don't they?
There's no doubt of that. The track at Loughnmore, kindly supplied to us by the Dennison family. We're very grateful for that, but it is recognised as one of the better and the foremost tracks in Ireland. And if a horse wins at Loughnmore, it's people save their horses to run at Loughnmore if they think they've a good horse, and usually they go on to make big money at the sales and go on to bigger and better things.
Big records. The farming community also benefit from the kennels by the committee and yourselves have a cut rate for dropping off fallen stock. And okay, it helps feed the hounds and keep the feed bill down, but it's a big part of sort of, I suppose, the rural economy, isn't it?
Well, and these present kennels are, and East Antrim Hounds moved here approximately 75 years ago, and been here uninterrupted for that 75 years. So there's not many farmers in East Antrim or stock owners who don't know where the kennels are, and if at all possible, the huntsman's able to look after the stock owners with their fallen sheep or livestock at a discounted rate compared to some of the other outlets. This in return, the huntsman gets to know all the landowners, and we're able to, by the receiving their stock, we 99 times out of 100 gain permission to cross land and form a good relationship there.
It's one thing this hunt club's very famous for, and most of the other hunt clubs. You have, 500-600 farmers on the list who somewhere along November to the beginning of April, you'll pay them a visit and ask for permission. You always seek permission to ask. There's this mythbuster that the hunt clubs just turn up and hunt and don't ask permission, etc., etc. But that's not right, sure it's not.
Well, it would have been okay perhaps 50 years ago, but unfortunately nowadays, with all farming being a very, the land's all required to try and maximise it in every shape or form. So we do treat it with respect and keep to the hedgerows, and but with modern livestock, most fields are well fenced with wire and gates. Well, we can go through the gates, and sometimes we go over the gates, but largely a lot of new ministry fencing, which you have to respect. You know.
It is a sort of being not negative about it, but it's a bit of blatant hunting. It's not the free hunting that was experienced by our forefathers 40 years ago, as you were saying. But these Antrim hounds do a wee bit better than that, because they go, I know yourself and the huntsman and other members, committee member whose hunt area it's in, will go out and prepare for 3-4 days beforehand.
At least,
and if there's ministry fence, especially the march between one farm and another, they put in proper hunt jumps so as it can be done to minimise any hassle, A, for the hunt club, and B, for the farmers.
Yes, and C, for some of the lesser guests that you may have out on the hunt field that day who just aren't game enough to put their horse or themselves over some of the rougher terrain or more dangerous type fences that there could be.
So hunting's a benefit also. They start with the pony club, and every pony club is attached to a hunt club. So they come up to the pony club. The hunt club encourages to come out and run special days for the pony club members to come out, and then they join the hunt. And Minnie's a real good jockey or an event rider or show jumper was born out of the hunting field.
Oh, there's no doubt about that. lots of very good jockeys in the East Antrim area, and in the past, and there certainly are at present. Just think of young Sam Ewing there, who's doing tremendously well at the present time. I'm sorry if I leave anybody out there, but then just was one that comes to fore, you know.
Yeah, but you know, we've seen loads of them come through. The Crawford brothers, big trainers now down the road. The Dennisons themselves, big hunting family, embroidered in the hunting and the success they have, and the young ones coming forward, and a lot of the event riders, the Dixons and all that coming out, Shannon Bear, all these people, you know, I suppose it has to be in your blood to come out horsey wise anyway, and hunting's not, I know, for everybody, but it does make a rider out of them, doesn't it?
It helps. It helps. Let them see the various, put them through their paces over all types of obstacles, let's say.
Yeah. So, running a hunt kennels, as we've seen here today, is very, very impressive. It doesn't run for nothing. You know, the hunt club has to work hard all year round. I suppose, as we've mentioned, the point to point being one of the big benefactors to the hunt club as earning money for the year. But the hunt ball and there's other things run as well, isn't there?
Oh yes, of course. Again, it's been quiet now for the last 18 months, but certainly we hunt ball, as you mentioned, there is one of the highlights of the year. Usually at the end of January, early February, when we can pack the local hotels out with 300 plus guests and
it still holds that kudos of being still the event of the year, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
You know, it used to be years ago to go to the hunt ball was an achievement or seen to be seen,
absolutely.
and it still is that way today.
No doubt.
It?
And then we have smaller events like possibly table quiz, just depending on from year to year.
Yeah.
Table quiz or hound racing. A few smaller sideshow type things, small country events, show jumping or cross country or whatever.
And it's all run by the committee, and that's the way it's formatted. And yourself and the other masters holding the reins. And I suppose any complaints or any hassle from whatever, the buck stops with you, doesn't it? You have to go and sort it out. It's maybe nice being master, but there is a backside, isn't
we're
there?
very fortunate, with all the various landowners in the community. The hunt club's been here so long, and we'll have a good relationship.
Yes,
and are well accepted.
It never rises, but that is the role of the master. Well, listen, thanks very much for coming along and giving us your time. I know you're a busy man, being a farmer yourself.
You're very
and
welcome.
We're in sort of mid of the harvest season, or coming to the end of it. And I hear the mowers going down the road, which isn't too far away. And you'll be busting to get back to point and tell them how to get it done.
No, at all, you're all very welcome. Thanks very much for coming.
Yes, and thanks for having us. Thank you.
No problem.
Well, we're lucky Robbie has invited us in out of the sun there. It's a very, very warm day, as we're experiencing probably some of the warmest days on record. So we've come in to talk about something that maybe we don't want to talk about when the heat's on the go, but it's the hunt livery and the hunt coats. And there is a rule of thumb. It's just not turn up in coats and dress. There is a pecking order that should be always observed in all hunt clubs, and I've been asked many a time, about this, because I'm a bit of an authoritarian supposedly on it. But Robbie, we have your hunt coat here with us, and it's a typical red coat, hunt servant's coat. I know different packs, harriers are green, and foxhounds are red traditionally. But that doesn't always fully suit. But it's not so much the coat and the when you see it out in the hunting field. It is, if you know your stuff, you know who you're talking to by just looking at the coat. Not right?
Yeah, certainly. Like coats here, you can tell a lot by how many buttons you have on your jacket. I.e., like 5 buttons as a hunt servant. A master's coat will have 4 buttons. So it is, throughout the field, you maybe see different members of the club with hunt buttons that they've achieved throughout the years. There's all different wee things to be looking at.
There is. So to identify each sort of hunt, then the collar, is each hunt has a registered collar which goes around the edge of your coat. East Antrim's being a dark black grey.
Yeah.
But some could be gold, some can be green. So that means if you meet any member out, and that applies to the members
Yeah.
kit as well, just not the huntsman, you'll know by the colour, oh, he's belongs to such and such a hunt club,
Yeah.
or they are guests from such and such a hunt club.
Yeah.
It identifies them.
Yeah.
But not only that, then the member knows by the number of buttons on your jacket, and not only that, the type of boots you wear and your jodhpurs.
Yeah, yeah.
Or your
there's-
breeches, which is
yeah.
probably the proper terminology.
Yeah, as I say, you know, there's all different things in the hunting field that you need to look out for in a day's hunting. So it is, you know, traditionally the huntsman will have his brown tops on and his boots, hunt servants. You know, it's different wee things you just need to look out for.
Pick up. So we've got the 5 buttons for the hunt staff. We've got the 4 buttons for a master, wearing the normal hunting cap, which now under legislation you can wear the proper resignation. You know, the type.
Yeah, the straps there, they've made it there. I just not exactly. I think it was 2 years ago that hunt servants, if they feel that they want to wear a hat with straps, that they're allowed to do so now.
But traditionally, most of them won't. Obviously.
Yeah, the tradition. A lot of this here, you know, huntsmen are proud to wear a red jacket. Like myself, I always wanted to wear a hunting coat and hunt a pack of hounds from a young age. So you know, it's a privilege, and I like to try to keep it as
your badge
yeah,
of office.
Yeah.
And then you have your cravat, which is always immaculately pinned, and there's a certain way to tie it and turn out. And the belief in that was, if you did come off and injure yourself, it was for neck injuries. But not only that, if somebody fell off and hurt themselves, you could remove it and use it as a bandage. And
Yeah.
even a horse getting cut, it was used as a bandage. All these things have a significance.
Oh yeah, definitely. You know, the way hunt servants tie their stock can let you know that they're hunt servants. You know, that's
Certain ways for it to
Yeah,
be done.
yeah.
And even right down to the tie pin itself.
tie pin. You know which way
It's-
the tie pin's set, whether it's up and down or across.
Yeah,
you know,
but-
it's all
well, the huntsman here will have a very plain pin, straight up and down.
down. Yeah.
The ordinary members will have maybe horses' heads or
Yeah.
horseshoes or whatever and set sideways. A master will be much the same. And then we have past masters that have been masters of the hunt club previous, and then they've retired their mastership and passed it on to sort of more younger and
Yeah.
people coming up. So they still get to wear their pink cap, but the distinguishing fact with them is then they wear a grey hunting cap.
Yeah, a lighter cap. You know, obviously they still wear their hunting coat, a lighter cap. You know, so it's
So that will then tell
Yeah.
you that's a past master.
Yeah.
They could also wear a top hat, but the top hats are long gone.
yeah, it's a
You know,
thing of the past.
Yeah.
yeah.
Maybe on a special day they'll put it on at the start
Yeah.
of the meet, but then they'll swap
Yeah.
it over. So the ordinary member comes out. He's got his black coat on with his 3 buttons, and the ladies maybe in navy. But it's out of respect to the huntsman and the master that everybody turns out nice and immaculate, clean and tidy, and very professional.
Yeah, we want to keep it. We want to try to keep a standard, you know, up to prove to the farmer that we acknowledge that he lets us on his ground, that we're not untidy looking, that we're clean and presentable at any time.
Yeah, so this sort of, everybody will look at, you know, they think everybody's been snobby turning out the way they are. It's not. There's a reason behind that, and it is appreciation to the farmer and to the huntsman for his hard work.
Yeah.
And he's turning out clean and immaculate, so the side, you know, don't want to let the side down and show disrespect to him. So there's none of these fancy coloured raincoats and bomber jackets and things wore in the hunting field traditionally.
Yeah.
Although it is creeping in now and again. And okay, there's youngsters out there and they want to keep warm, but there's no harm in that if they keep it sort of dark colours and try
Yeah.
and blend in rather than a bright red or a bright yellow one.
Yeah,
You know.
like certainly there's no masters aren't going to shout at you and because you're not wearing the right gear. They'll encourage you the next time you come out to get the right gear.
Yeah.
You know, there's no set rule.
It is a winter sport.
Yeah.
and we call it a sport, but it's maybe not a sport, but it's a winter program. And the coats, which we forgot to mention, is 32-ounce wool.
Yeah.
Traditionally, and that is to keep you warm when the snow blizzards is blowing, maybe in a November morning or into December.
Yeah.
And it's also the wet season, as we know it in this country only too well. So it keeps you waterproof as well.
So it's waterproof, windproof, and the red colour is to alert anybody that can see you out in the distance if anything has to go wrong. You can be easily seen.
Spot it.
Spot it.
So the whole thing is keep up with the huntsmen and the masters and the red coats when you're out in the hunting field.
Well, that's the idea.
And I suppose it's also to let the members see who to follow and what direction you're going in.
Yeah.
Another thing, just before we go, that we haven't mentioned is the tradition of the white whip that all hunt servants cost. But it's not to be flashy. It's an old time tradition that's been kept on, isn't it?
Aye, the white whip, a hunt servant's white whip. It's the IE there for coming home in the evenings when it's dark. When you're holding your whip out, it can be seen easier than a dark coloured whip. Just little things. Yeah.
Yes, I often hear my father reminiscing about they come home and they even had little lights that fitted in their stirrups because we didn't have the modern transport we have for horses today. Even 30, 40 years ago, it was hack there and hack home. So, and the hounds done the same.
Yeah.
They maybe hacked 20 mile to a meet.
Yeah.
Done a full day's hunting and then had to hunt
back home. Yeah.
20 mile back again. And that's relating back to the fitness of the horses and the hounds that we were talking about earlier on.
Yeah.
Well, thanks very much, Robbie. One bit of piece of equipment that we haven't talked about is the hunting horn, but we're going to catch up with that later on because it's one of the very important tools in the hunting field.
Yeah.
And hopefully you'll run us through that at a later stage.
Yeah.
But once again, people, thanks for listening in and hope you've learned a little bit about the hunting livery and hunting attire. And maybe if you do go hunting, you'll maybe take a few tips and pointers here, and maybe the next time you're out, you'll make sure you're just that wee bit crisper when you appear out in the hunting field. And you'll be able to know who's who and what's what if you look at the buttons and you know how to observe it. So we'll catch you later on through the day. Well, folks, unfortunately, we hoped that Robbie could join us to give us a demonstration of the blowing of the hunting horn. We didn't want to do it at the kennels that day because it would upset the hounds, and we had sort of arranged another location to attend. But that didn't work out too well. So Robbie is off in England judging a puppy show. And so with the constraints of getting the video finished in time, you're going to have to put up with me giving a bit of a demonstration on the hunting horn. There's two types of hunting horn, believe it or not. And the idea behind the hunting horn is it's a way of communicating with the huntsman and his hounds and the field. And if you learn the calls, you'll learn exactly what's taking place out in the hunting field at any one time. So we're going to give you demonstrate a few of the calls. We're going to attempt to, maybe is the way to put it. And hopefully you'll pick this up and maybe can be used. As I was saying, there's two types of hunting horns. There's a woodland horn and there is an open country horn. And they're two different pitches. The deep one is for the forest. So it lets you travel through the forest and the more dense undergrowth better. And then there's the open country hunting horn, which is a higher pitch, which will travel further over the open country. So as you can hear up to maybe 2-3 mile away. So the first hunting horn I'm going to blow is the open hunting horn, and I'll just let you hear the difference in the pitch. As you can hear, it's just like an ordinary hunting horn, and maybe you'll pick it up now a wee bit closer because we're going to play the two of them together. This is the wooden one, which we'll be using in the woods. And you'll have heard the deeper tone from that hunting horn compared to the open one. So hopefully you've identified that. So at the opening meet, or at the meet just before you're about to set off, the huntsman will indicate to everybody after the master's given them the nod, it's time to leave. He will send the signal to the field and all the foot followers and everybody about the town, and signal to the hounds, the hunt staff, everybody's there. We're about to move off, and it's normally just a couple of wee toots on the horn that goes something like this. Basically, everybody ready, let's go. So they will move off and they'll go to the first draw. Generally speaking, the field will stay back of the huntsmen and the hounds, maybe 2 field lengths to let them go in. And at this stage, the field should always be manually to remain very quiet. So the huntsman will ask his hounds to loo in to the cover, and he will start walking along the hedgerow or the edge of the forest where he's put them in. It's the young hounds and that can get a wee bit upset because they don't know the huntsman's still there, and they'll lift their head and they'll keep popping out. So a way for that to keep in touch with his hounds, the huntsman will just give a little blow on his horn to give confidence to the hounds. He's still there to keep looking and trying and searching out their quarry. And quite simple, just a wee toot on the horn. It just lets them know he's there, a couple of wee toots, maybe just once, not very often, just every so often. Also sends the signal back to the field that they're still drawing. Then the hounds hopefully will find and will start giving voice. But the huntsman doesn't get too excited. He wants them to get settled down and to get the hounds to come to the opening cry. So you give a couple of, maybe 30 seconds to make sure they've settled down. And making sure they've settled down, he then will double his horn to call the other hounds together and get them a bit excited to try and get on to the one fox that's in the wood or whatever prey they're after. So it would go something like this. That will then bring the other hounds that's maybe not on to the scent and maybe lying back further in the forest. It'll draw them out to where the other hounds are, and they will start getting settled down and get into full cry, as it's known. Eventually the fox will break the wood or the quarry, whatever it is, whether it's deer, stag, hare, whatever the hunting quarry is of the day. So whenever they get left and he's happy enough that they're well away, he then will signal to the master in the field, hounds are away, and to close up and folly in hot pursuit. And that's when they get the ride out across the country. And it'll go something like this. That will be the signal then, every man for himself, and stay behind the huntsman, and away they go across the country. Hounds will maybe check a little when they're out in the field, so they'll draw up, and the huntsman will settle everybody down and just let his hounds work the trail out, the scent out. And again, they'll pick up and go, whereby he'll probably signal gone away again, just like we've heard. And maybe the scent's lost for the day and they won't get it. So he wants to gather his hounds up. There's 2 signals that he uses at this stage. And one is just a long horn to bring the hounds back to him, which goes something like this. Which is, come on back, if you can imagine that. Another one signal that he would also use at this stage is he may have put a whip out on point or member out on point, but he wants to bring them back to him, and also he wants the whip, if he finds any stray hounds out there, to bring them back with him as well. And it's called whip to me, and it goes something like this. That's a sort of a signal to the whips and to the hounds as well that they've to come back to him. It also is a signal to the field, wherever they may be, if they've got dispersed or lost, that everybody's to come back to the huntsman, that they're going to move on to the next draw or whatever they're after. So that is a big signal that's used out there. So far, if you're out in the car or a foot follower or a member, if you listen to the hunting horn, you know exactly what's going on and what's exactly in the huntsman's head. Another one is the hounds maybe have hunted on well and put the fox to ground or to bay, and the signal then will be given by the huntsman on his hunting horn, and it will go something like this. It's sort of a vibration, and that signals to everybody that to draw up. The hounds have put to ground their fox or their quarry, whatever it would be, or to bay, and that's usually the end of that hunt and that trail. So they'll be packing up to move on to look for another one. The last real call of the day is unfortunately the one that nobody wants to hear, is going home. And it's quite a long horn, and it's what they call home, home, home. And it's normally 3 long blasts and then followed by just a continuous blast. So that'll let anybody know that's got left behind or stray or whatever, that the day's hunting's over and you should make your way back to the meet. And it goes something like this. That is home, 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 good night. And that would be the signal for the hounds and everybody to pack up and make their way back to the meet. And let anybody know, within earshot of the hunting horn anyway, that the day's over. I'm sure if Robbie was here, he could have done a lot better job than me. And hopefully you've learned something of the hunting horn. And it can be found on different YouTubes and that if you really take an interest and want to learn the calls. Those are the generic calls. Each huntsman maybe has got different variations of that. But generally speaking, that is what it is. Folks, thanks for listening, and we'll catch up with you later on. Thank you. So everybody, sadly we've come to the end of the day here at the kennels, and we'd just like to thank the hunt staff and the masters for inviting us along and enjoying ourselves. But before we go, last word to Robbie here. Things here in Northern Ireland especially is getting tight under the legislations, and hunting could maybe be gone as we know it. And that is bound to have a big ratification on yourself. That's bound to be a real hard one to get over.
Certainly it is. It'll be devastating. The loss of the house, income, you know, the loss it will be to farmers, to feed merchants. It extends more in the countryside than people totally understand about. Like.
The ripple effect going out, you have your, just try and do a quick calculation. It's not just the hunt kennels as regards the blacksmith. He maybe has 100 horses to shoe, and they're shod every 6 weeks. You count that up from November and before September. The horses are in early to get fit, right through to April. You have the feed merchants. There again, the hunt horses and 100 horses in the hunt kennels, and everything just ripples right out through the whole community.
Yeah.
The loss of the benefits to the farmers alone.
Fallen stock scheme here, as you can see this morning yourselves, is very busy. It'll be devastating to the local farmers. Like, it's really, it's countrywide. People don't understand the tanneries, the feed merchants, as was said. It goes on. The list goes on and on and on and on and on.
And it's not only that. It's what happens to the hounds in the kennels. Them beautiful animals that's up there, and these people are wanting to ban fox hunting. What's their big suggestion to do? It's all right coming up with all these, get stopped, it's just a matter of wiping a pen through it. But how are they going to, where's their game plan? They want to ban it and they're wanting to run it through, but they haven't come up and said, well now, for the 20-odd, 30-odd hunt staff in Northern Ireland, we've got this package put in place, and we're going to dispose of the hounds. Who's going to go and put the needle in them hounds' legs and put them down? Because that's what has to happen to them. They won't make a family pet.
No, as we touched on this earlier today, you know, they're a packed animal. They're not a pet. As we said, they can cross 60, 70 miles in a day's hunting. You know, these animals in a house, they can't be looked after to the care and the ability that we look after them here in the kennels. You've seen what work goes on here today.
Very
7
much
days
so.
a week.
Yep, that's what we just said.
365 days of the year. It's, you know, the whole point's just it's a bigger picture than people's understands.
Yep. Well, it's very sad to end up such a brilliant day on such a note, but reality is reality. So people, if you're watching this and you're maybe not that keen on hunting of any description, maybe it's worth your while seeking out your local hunt club, making a phone call and make an appointment, go up and see them and talk to them, learn the facts, learn about everything about hunting, and maybe you'll understand that it's not sort of them versus us and a romantic idea just to, it seems to be vogue to look that way. Like anything else, if you go to buy a car, you go and you check it out, you read up all about it and you investigate it well before you make your purchase. But before you ever make your mind up about hunting of any description, please feel free to go and do the same. Well, as I said, unfortunately the thing has come to an end here with us. Again, we would like to thank the Great Game Fairs of Ireland for inviting us along and to make this video for you. And hopefully you enjoy the rest of the virtual game fair in these sad times that we live in with the COVID. And in the meantime, remember one thing, keep it country.